Welcome back to the show. You're watching NHL Now, and on this show, we do power rankings each and every Friday. But this segment is very quickly coming to a close, as is the regular season. Does this change the approach at all when you're picking your teams, EJ?
Maybe a hair.
Maybe a hair.
Because we have a really big sample size. We almost have a full season now, so that plays into it a little bit. I still try to keep it within the last week, 10 days of where guys are, because we've had this discussion. We'd have the same teams that we think are good every week. It would kind of be a silly exercise. So these are where teams are, where I think they're kind of slotted in right now. And you'll see this week is a little bit of a different week for a number of reasons. So
nice tease.
I'm looking forward to
presenting. Well, Bruce, you're going to go first. So you ready? You want to give us your top
Well, I'm
five?
no Dan Rosen.
Thank goodness.
But, I mean, I'm going to give it my best shot.
All right.
I picked number 5. I picked the LA Kings.
Ooh, like it already.
And I think the reason I think is they're still on the upswing.
Yeah.
I mean, they've still got Gavrikov just getting used to the system. They got their goalie's only played a couple games yet, and I think they're just getting better. They're young enough to just start to feel the excitement. Kopitar's sitting in there telling them stories about what it was like to win 2 cups in a row. So I think they're just getting better. Their schedule is not that difficult as far as winning percentages against other teams. I think they're going to continue to go, and they've won quite a few games in this little segment that we're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. All right, who's got number 4?
You want me at number 4?
Yeah. You're going to rattle through the whole list.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we were going back and forth.
You don't watch our show?
Yes. Shush.
Come on, Bruce.
I mean, number 4 has got to be the Leafs.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And I mean, I'm from Toronto.
Played for the Leafs.
Played for the Leafs. They haven't fired me. All of those good things. I mean, they're.
Factor.
You know what I like about them is, quite frankly, even though they've lost 2 in a row, when they're playing the really good teams, they know how to shut it down now. It used to be just a run-and-gun game. They can shut it down, so I think they're going to be a tough team, and they're playing pretty well.
All right, number 3.
Who did I pick? 3.
I don't know.
I picked the New York Rangers for number 3.
There you go.
And I just think everybody's starting to feel it a little bit. They're starting to get comfortable in their own skin and their own positions, and everybody's buying into their roles. And so I think, on talent-wise, they've got
loaded.
They're loaded. They got the best goalie or one of the best goalies. They got one of the best defensemen. They definitely got 6 of the top 9 players that you can field. So I think they've got to be put up there. Number 2, I can't go anywhere without putting Colorado into the mix. I mean,
playing well lately.
They're playing well, and they're still missing people. Everybody thinks, Landeskog and now Lehkonen, but I mean, they're also missing Josh Manson. What a big addition he was last year to the team, especially comes playoff time. I hope he gets back. Great player, and I think they're starting to feel it. Nathan McKinnon said it the other day. Nobody wants to play us, and I believe him wholeheartedly. And number 1, if you can't go against Boston. I mean, sure they'd lost 3 out of 4 before going into last night's game, but they've been so good for so long. I mean, they could have another bad week, and I'd put them number 1 next week. So it's
they've earned it.
They've earned it, right?
Well, you said you were no Dan Rosen, but maybe you are.
Ouch.
No.
Don't hurt Bruce.
I'm only joking.
He's sitting at home right now going, I don't look like him.
They're good. I mean, it's an interesting week, and I like that you had a couple of Western teams in there. I'm going to do the same.
Gotta mix it up.
Because, this year there's been a number of weeks, Bruce, when we could have had 5 teams from the East.
Yes.
And we've talked a lot about the Big 6 in the Eastern Conference, but this last week, 10 days, and maybe it's the time of year, and you know this better than us. I mean, you've lived it. It's like, everybody's looking towards the playoffs now. And if you're in this spot, probably, maybe you get distracted. The Bruins, maybe just, they're getting distracted. They're experimenting.
A little bit. You can't stay at that level every day.
Exactly.
I was going to say something.
Yeah.
I forgot where I was for a minute.
Well, you caught yourself.
Yeah, you did.
That's all that matters.
So actually,
and the couple games. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, good. It was a good. That's a good group of 5 teams.
Of course.
I'm on. That's a good job.
Yeah, those are 5 teams.
But yours is better, right?
Well, of course. I mean, I have to. That's my role here. Is to give the accurate.
That's
up
the
to
bit.
The minute,
that is the bit.
Up to the second rankings. So let's get to it. At number 5, I'm going to go with the New York Rangers at number 5. And I usually, Jackie, do not have like 10 teams on my final list. This week I had 10 teams on my final list, or 11, and trying to figure out who was going to be narrowed into the 5. And there's all that bunch of really good teams in the East, but they've all been kind of a little up and down lately. The Boston Bruins get a pass in that because when you're playing .799 points percentage hockey, you know.
And they just clinched, and they got their 50th win.
And they had a nice win last night, which kind of tells me they're a little bit back on track and a little bit more focused. So the New York Rangers, I think, have been playing well of late. To Bruce's point, guys are finding their roles there, and they're kind of finding where they're going to be. They still miss Ryan Lindgren on the back end, but their goaltender is good. So, like, I like the Rangers. That was a good win against the Penguins, so I have the Rangers at number 5. At number 4, I have the Colorado Avalanche at 4. They've won 4 games in a row. They just went in Toronto and got a win there. Rallied back in the game. They were down 1-0, tied it, ended up winning in a shootout.
Held Toronto to 19 shots.
There you go. So the Colorado Avalanche, I'll tell you what, when you watch them play, they still intimidate with the way they come up the ice, and they have that big engine on the back end. And you're right, Bruce. They're missing some really important players still. If they ever get those players back in the Stanley Cup playoffs, boy, look out. They could defend that Stanley Cup. Number 3, for me, the Minnesota Wild, I have it at number 3, and 11-0-3 in their last 14 games. And since Kirill Kaprizov went out, Jackie, I've missed several days down at the meetings. We remember last week we talked about him being out of the mix. What have they done? They've scoring goals left and right.
Yes.
So the Minnesota Wild at number 3. For me, at number 2.
And Fleury almost fought. So they
I know.
Even though they've had an easy schedule. Go ahead.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. Somebody's you got 11-0-3. That's 20% of your schedule, for whatever it is.
That's pretty good.
12%. I don't know what it is. I'm not good at that.
Anyway.
Number 2, the LA Kings. I have them at number 2, and I thought about it. I thought about putting them at number 1.
Ooh.
That's how highly I've thought about the LA Kings lately. 8-1-1 in their last 10 games, and I just love their team. I love the additions they've made, really rolling along. So the LA Kings at number 2, and then the Boston Bruins at number 1. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a dicey week. Lost to the Red Wings, lost to the Blackhawks, but 3-0 win over Winnipeg last night, so there you go. So, Bruce, what do you, I mean, I think we're both in the same ballpark, similar teams.
Yeah. How can you
you don't like the Wild?
No. I think the Wild
former coach of the Minnesota Wild.
I think the Wild deserve to be there.
Okay.
Absolutely. I just think you sit on the fence all the time when you say you got 10 teams and you don't know which one to pick. I'm saying go out on a limb.
I did.
And say, well, no, you picked.
Well, who was just on the outside for both of you?
Yeah.
What was
your
a team
6?
that you were like, ooh, I want to put them in, but and then you kind of were like, who's
Well, they haven't played very, very well, but recently, but they're picking it back up again as Tampa.
Yeah.
I mean, to go in and to win 2 games in Jersey, I think, here they come again.
Yeah, those are solid wins.
Those are solid wins.
Yeah, and like for me, I had Jersey, I had Toronto, I had Tampa's played better of late, Carolina, but like you get into this kind of silly thing, right? Like, how could I put Jersey in when they've lost back-to-back games to Tampa, But how do I have Carolina in? Jersey just shut out Carolina. I think it was on Sunday, right? Yeah. So, like, these teams have all kind of beat each other a little bit. And it was
an impossible task.
Yeah, I mean, right now. And it was a good opportunity, I think, to bring a couple of those Western teams in that have been playing very well, like L.A. and Minnesota and Colorado. Because all year long, there's been a number of weeks, as I mentioned, where it could have been 1 through 5 with Eastern teams. So this is a little snapshot for us. We sit here at St. Patrick's Day, having a couple of green beers, relaxing with our buddy Bruce Boudreau. This is how it seems today. Check in with me tomorrow night. I might have a different list.
I'll tell you what.
Go ahead.
I think Bruce had the better list for one simple reason.
Well, Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want, you know what?
Accurate.
Toronto. It's so silly, right? Toronto wins that shootout against Colorado.
Yeah.
I might have Toronto in, but they didn't, and I wanted to give Colorado some credit for their 4 consecutive wins. So, it's like I said. And how about the Edmonton Oilers? There's a team we're not really talking about them. They've played some pretty good hockey. Had a really nice win over Dallas last night. I mean, you got the New Jersey Devils have been played well this year. So, I mean, there's a lot of teams. Vegas has been hot of late, lost last night.
Nobody talks about Vegas anymore. Like, I mean, I mean, the first couple of years.
Under the radar,
it was,
right?
But now they've been winning and winning and winning since the All-Star break. But everybody's just sort of leaving them out in the West, and nobody's really talking about them.
Maybe that's a good thing for the Vegas.
For them, I think it is. And it's a big difference. I was reading the other day about when Shea Theodore's in the lineup and when Shea Theodore's not. He makes quite a difference for that team.